Heydays of our lives fans. We have got your early weekly spoilers for the week of August 31st through September 4th, and there is a lot coming up in Salem. Holly Jonas is absolutely at the end of her rope and unloads on somebody who has had it coming for a long time. Meanwhile, Stephanie Johnson makes a terrible choice that could do real damage to her marriage at the worst possible moment. Also ahead next week, EJ is under serious pressure. Lexi's celebration of life continues to leave the people who loved her shattered. There are growing worries about a possible security issue, and there is already buzz building about a new face arriving very soon. So, as always on early spoiler day, we're going to start by talking about what is still ahead the rest of this week, and then we will get into what is coming up next week in Salem. Let's get into it. Starting with Wednesday, August 26th, Roman Brady steps up to help Abe Carver with something deeply emotional as they prepare for Lexi's celebration of life. Since Lexi made it clear that she did not want a traditional funeral, what Abe is trying to honor now is her wish to have something that feels more like a tribute to the joy she brought into people's lives rather than only focusing on grief. Of course, there is no way for something like this not to be heartbreaking too. It is one of those classic Salem moments where love, loss, community, and old friendships all collide. Roman being there for Abe makes perfect sense because this is exactly the kind of thing Roman does. He shows up. He helps carry the burden when someone else is too broken to do it alone. So, if the pub becomes the setting for part of this celebration, it is going to be emotional, bittersweet, and probably full of stories that make everyone smile one second and tear up the next. At the same time, Stephanie is spiraling. She turns to Theo because she is upset about what is happening with Alex, and the timing on all of this could not be worse. Alex is already carrying so much stress because Joy is dealing with a medical crisis and surgery that may have devastating consequences. He is trying to hold himself together for the people around him, and instead of finding stability at home, he may be walking straight into another mess. Stephanie telling Alex that they cannot keep going on like this is a huge red flag because it suggests she is not just feeling insecure. She is feeling disconnected, frustrated, and maybe even a little resentful that Alex's attention is pulled somewhere else for reasons that she may intellectually understand but emotionally cannot handle. That does not make her right, but it does make it clear why this situation is getting more volatile by the minute. And then there is Theo. He is grieving too, which means if he and Stephanie lean on each other while both of them are emotionally raw, that could turn risky very quickly. This is Salem. We all know how often comfort, grief, jealousy, and too much alcohol turn into a really bad decision. Even if Stephanie does not outright cheat, she may still do something that Alex sees as a deep betrayal. Sometimes on this show, the line that gets crossed is not always physical. Sometimes it is emotional intimacy, secrecy, or simply being in a situation that should never have happened in the first place. Elsewhere, Kat questions EJ, and this is one of the more intriguing pieces in motion right now because Kat is terrified that she may have revealed too much during hypnosis. The minute buried memories start surfacing, everything gets more dangerous. If Kat admitted that she was ISA while in that vulnerable state, then she has every reason to worry about whether EJ remembers any of it. Even if his own memories of that time are fragmented, the mere possibility that something could come back is enough to make Kat panic. There is also the Clyde Weston angle hanging over all of this, which only makes it messier. If Kat was somehow under Clyde's control at that point too, then the full story of what happened may be even uglier than it already seems. EJ, for his part, hates not knowing. He hates gaps. He hates feeling like somebody else has information that he does not. So if Kat starts poking around, asking too carefully whether he remembers what she said, that alone could raise his suspicions whether he recalls the actual details or not. Sean, meanwhile, is trying to carve out a romantic evening with Jada at the bistro, which feels almost like a brief pocket of calm in the middle of a storm. But with Salem, calm usually never lasts. Marina is worried about Belle's plans, especially with Italy and the mysteries surrounding the chessboard still looming in the background. Julie has already weighed in and made it clear she does not think Chad should go, but Chad is not exactly known for backing off once his curiosity or his heart is involved. That trip to Italy keeps looking like the kind of storyline that will split opinions. Some people will see it as necessary, others will see it as reckless, and some will think it is just terrible timing. But either way, the debate about whether Chad should go is not going away anytime soon. Now, let's move to Thursday, August 27th, because this is where things get even more strained. Alex drops baby Kelsey off with Bonnie so he can make time for Stephanie and take her out. That alone tells you he is trying. He is making an effort. He is trying to balance a crisis with his responsibilities and his marriage. But the big question is whether Stephanie is even available when Alex goes looking for her, physically or emotionally. The warning signs are all there. We already know Stephanie is going to make a bad call, and it sounds like one that hits Alex hard. It may not be outright infidelity, but that does not mean the damage will be small. Sometimes the thing that wrecks trust is not what technically happened. It is what the choice reveals. If Alex finds out Stephanie ran to Theo, got drunk with him, confided in him instead of her husband, or disappeared when Alex needed her, that could cut just as deep. And all of this is playing out while Joy is headed toward a life-changing surgery. That is what makes Stephanie's decision look even worse. It is not just that she may act out. It is when she may act out. There are moments when a spouse really needs to know you can put your own feelings aside and stand with them through the crisis. If Stephanie fails that test, Alex may not get over it quickly. Also on Thursday, Holly goes off on EJ, and honestly, it is hard to blame her. Holly has every reason to be furious if she confronts him over the poison and the planted pills. This is not some minor misunderstanding that can be brushed aside with a fake apology and a polished demurrer lie. This is the kind of violation that changes how someone sees you forever. Holly may absolutely unload on EJ at the mansion, and if she does, those scenes could be intense because EJ is rarely more slippery than when he is cornered by someone with moral clarity. He is not likely to confess. He is not likely to suddenly become honest because a furious young woman demands the truth. If anything, he may double down, deflect, or try to twist the situation into something murkier than it is. But Holly's rage matters even if EJ denies everything. Calling him out publicly or privately still puts pressure on him. And with EJ already making a tense phone call to try to contain fallout from the Coral Seal issue, it is obvious he knows there is danger here. If he is barking orders to Rita or trying to make sure someone keeps quiet, then he is already in damage control mode. The real question is whether Holly's confrontation comes before that call or after it. Because if she gets in his face first, that may be what pushes him to start cleaning up loose ends. And if he made the call first, then Holly may just be confirming that the fire is spreading faster than he expected. Paulina also pushes Johnny to tell Chanel the truth, and there is a very real possibility this all ties back to what Johnny knew about Lexi being in that basement room. That is the kind of secret that sounds understandable in theory, but painful in practice. Johnny may have thought he was honoring a dying woman's wishes, but Chanel still has every right to feel blindsided if she learns he kept something that major from her. Hopefully Chanel understands the position Johnny was in, but understanding does not always erase hurt. Secrets kept for noble reasons are still secrets, and on soaps they still explode when the truth finally gets daylight. Then there is Ari overhearing a disturbing conversation. Salem thrives on accidental eavesdropping, and whenever a younger character hears something they were not supposed to hear, it usually means trouble. If Kate is the one Ari overhears, then that could connect directly to whatever favor Kate wants later. And if Roman is the person Kate is trying to keep something from, then we may be building toward another round of tension there too. Now, let's get to Friday, August 28th, because the storylines keep branching in really interesting ways. Jack catches up with Steve, which means there's going to be a lot of emotional and practical ground to cover. Jack likely wants to spend time with Gwen and strengthen that father-daughter connection, but there is also so much happening across Salem that these conversations can end up touching a dozen different nerves. Steve may fill Jack in on Kayla and everything happening at the hospital, especially if Gwen's financial decisions are now becoming important to whether the hospital's future stabilizes. That whole situation could grow in significance fast depending on how much leverage Gwen ends up having. EJ, meanwhile, is still hunting for answers and winds up pressing Chad about Stefano's chess set. That mystery refuses to stay buried, and the more people circle it, the more obvious it becomes that this is going to matter in a major way. Whether Chad should go to Italy is one question. Whether he can resist getting more involved once he knows there may be answers waiting there is another. Sarah is there for Xander as he deals with losing the house and all the humiliation and anger that come with that. But even in his pain, Xander appears to be holding himself together more than some people might expect. He is upset, yes. He is wounded, absolutely. But if Sarah tells him she and Victoria are moving in with Brady and Xander still manages not to explode, that says a lot about where he is emotionally. He is hurting, but he is trying not to make things worse. At least not yet. Still, just because Xander is managing his temper now does not mean the pressure will not build. There is only so much loss one person can absorb before they lash out, and if he starts feeling replaced or shut out in his daughter's life, that is going to cut deep. Kate asking Ari for a favor is exactly the kind of Friday beat that makes you wonder what secret is about to get bigger. If Ari heard something she should not have heard, then Kate may be trying to contain the fallout before it reaches Roman or somebody else who would react badly. That sets up a potentially messy week ahead, especially if Ari gets pulled into adult deception she should not have to manage. Marina gives Belle a keepsake, and that feels like one of those deceptively quiet moments that may carry bigger meaning than it first appears. If it connects back to the Italy mystery or the chess set, then that gift may become the next clue that pushes Belle and possibly Chad further down the road Julie is begging them not to take. Now, let's move into the week of August 31st through September 4th, because this is where the emotional fallout really starts settling in. One thing to watch is Kat, and whether she does what Marina told her to do by informing Andrew Donovan that EJ may know something he should not know. The problem, of course, is that making that report may mean Kat has to admit she broke protocol or let something slip that should have remained buried. That puts her in a terrible position. Tell the truth and expose herself, or stay quiet and risk EJ piecing together something dangerous. And even if Kat keeps quiet, there is still the possibility Marina will not. That means Kat may be running out of room to control the narrative. The ISA angle gives the storyline a whole extra layer because it is not just personal anymore. It is operational. It is security. It is the kind of thing that can spiral if the wrong person learns the wrong detail. Speaking of fallout, Stephanie may start realizing just how badly she mishandled things once Alex makes it clear he is hurt and disappointed. If Joy's surgery becomes even more urgent and Alex feels like Stephanie made his life harder instead of standing by him, then this could become one of those marriage wounds that lingers long after the original event is over. That is what makes this so dangerous. It is not just about jealousy. It is about trust, maturity, and whether Stephanie can be a real partner when life gets ugly. If Alex starts looking at her differently because of how she behaved during a crisis, then the road back may be much tougher than she expects. Abe is also left trying to pick up the pieces after Lexi's death, and although Paulina will likely be there to comfort him, grief does not magically untangle all the complicated relationship history between them. People may assume pain will push Abe right back into Paulina's arms, but it may not be that simple. Grief can make someone seek comfort, but it can also make them withdraw, reflect, and move very slowly. Long term, there may still be a path for Abe and Paulina to find each other again. But in the short term, Abe may need space to mourn before he can even begin thinking about what comes next romantically. Chad, meanwhile, continues debating whether to go to Italy. He has heard opinions from all sides. Julie has warned him. Jack has concerns. The kids have had their say. Belle's involvement complicates everything. There is a real emotional tug-of-war here between duty, curiosity, family obligations, and optics. And honestly, there are fair arguments on both sides. On the one hand, if there are answers in Italy, Chad may feel like he has to pursue them. On the other hand, if it means more time away from Thomas and Charlotte after already not being especially present over the summer, that could leave a sour taste. So even if the trip is short, the emotional cost may still be high. Then there is Kate, and whatever she may be hiding from Roman. If she pulled Ari into something secretive, that is not going to stay buried forever. It never does. One little favor becomes a bigger lie, and then before long somebody realizes the story does not add up. Roman is not stupid, and if Kate has done something he is not going to like, that reveal could be waiting just around the corner. Leo's investigation into the fake designer bag situation for Gabby also seems poised to move forward, and that one could end up surprising everyone depending on who is behind it. The fun thing about a story like that is it can start off feeling like a side plot and then suddenly turn into something that connects unexpected characters. If Gabby is out of town, Leo may have to keep digging on his own, which could lead him into trouble or into an answer nobody saw coming.